What's up, you guys? It's Steve here, and guess what the Fed just said? Inflation, inflation, inflation. We are currently experiencing a 40-year high in inflation. Haven't seen this since the 1980s, and they've come out and said that there are things that we're about to discuss that are likely going to be cranking this up even higher, and they've announced they're going to be trying to combat this, and they're going to move more aggressively than they anticipated to try to stop this increased inflation, which is making lawmakers call out for legislation and now proposing bills just in the past week to send out federal level direct payment assistance stimulus checks to help out people. And this is your stimulus package, stimulus check, and breaking news update. Now, take a look at some of these articles coming out. Fed officials nod to big rate hikes to fight inflation, inflation, inflation. And they're saying that the rate hikes they want to do, now they're going to be even more aggressive and higher. So get ready. This is going to be impacting our U.S. economy. Those of you that have interest rates that are not fixed, if you got adjustable rates, you might want to take care of that right away. Take a look at this, you guys. Powell says inflation is much too high and the feds will take necessary steps to address this. I'm going to be sharing with you some video footage as to what they had to say because they're saying this is a lot more aggressive than they expected and they're going to be combating this inflation. Now, in addition to that, we're at a 40-year high right now, but we're hearing that it might even go higher. Take a look at another factor to take into consideration, China's Omicron lockdowns. Right now, the pandemic is surging in China, so much so they're in a massive lockdown, and they're saying that's going to mean supply chain pain, which is going to cause inflation to go up even higher here in the United States. A globalized world is vulnerable to local disasters. Now, not only that, but we're hearing that it's surging in Europe as well. Now, currently in the United States, it seems like we've made it past the Omicron wave. You can see March 23rd, 2022, the 7-day moving average of new cases was at 30,000 a day, which it's crazy to think that when this pandemic started 2 years ago, we actually locked down here in the United States back when the 7-day moving average was at 5,000 cases. So we're actually 6 times higher now than we were 2 years ago. But it feels like we're moving out of this. But we're hearing that, no, we're not done yet. And we could be having more issues and cause more inflation when, take a look at this, you guys. As I mentioned, warning signs for the United States as pandemic cases rise in Europe. And Europe is warning the United States because what we've seen throughout the course of this pandemic is whatever happens with new surges, new variants in Europe, it usually comes over to the United States about 2 or 3 weeks later. So they're saying, get ready. It sounds like another wave is on the way. And we're seeing articles coming out like this. Another pandemic surge may be coming. Are we ready for it? We've been wearing rose-colored glasses instead of correcting our vision, scientists are saying, as they're saying, get ready. It looks like another wave is coming, and this is likely going to be disrupting things even more, causing more economic issues and more inflation. And that is why right now we're seeing articles like this almost every day. U.S. lawmakers are now considering giving Americans $100 monthly gas checks. And as I mentioned, 3 different proposals, bills have come out in Congress, as they're saying, with everything going on, it's almost full circle, and we're going to need more stimulus checks again. So you guys, I'm going to get you caught up on the latest news coming out, what the Fed just said, what's going on with inflation, stimulus, getting you caught up on all the latest economic news. But before we dive right in, if you could do me a quick favor, just takes a second, if you could smash that like button for me. If you appreciate the updates, keeping you up to speed on everything going on, helps out my channel a ton. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Also, leave your comments. Share this out if you think it's going to help out other people. If you want to stay up to date, totally free to do so. All you got to do is hit that subscribe button, turn on the notification bell. I'll notify you right away as soon as videos come up. And if you got any specific questions for me, go ahead and reach out to me directly on Instagram at SteveRam3. That's the best way to get a hold of me, and I'll answer any questions that you might have. But with that being said, let's go ahead and dive right in, and let's start off with some video footage that came out with the Federal Reserve's announcement that they're going to be getting more aggressive to combat this inflation because it is on the way and lawmakers are preparing for more checks. Let's take a look.
The Fed chair, Kelly, said that nothing would stop the Fed from raising by 50 basis points in May if it indeed decided that it needed to do so. He's not saying for sure that that's what the Fed will do, but he's saying nothing will stop it. And he made clear the Fed would go to 50 basis point rate hikes if it needed to, as well as go above neutral. Here's what he said earlier in his speech.
If we conclude that it is appropriate to move more aggressively by raising the federal funds rate by more than 25 basis points at a meeting or meetings, we will do so. And if we determine that we need to tighten beyond common measures of neutral and into a more restrictive stance, we'll do that as well.
Not surprisingly, the probability of a 50 basis point rate hike as measured by Refinitiv surging to 65%. It was around 50% last Friday, and it is up quite a bit today. It seems to be becoming the odds-on bet, at least for the moment, of the market. And that was not all that the Fed chair said that was hawkish. He went on to say that there's a rising risk that long-term expectations, inflation expectations, could move higher. That's a key for the Federal Reserve to watch. If that gets unhinged, the Fed would certainly be concerned about that. He sees the Ukraine war potentially leading to more inflation, and also pointed to more COVID-related supply disruptions from China. So, Kelly, the only good thing the Fed chair said was that he didn't see a high chance of recession, and he thinks it's possible to get down to 2% inflation over 3 years. But mostly, he gave what I would call a consolidated hawkish speech today, which taking some of the highlights of his hawkishness last week and sort of putting them in bolder relief today, I'd say.
There you have it, you guys. Things are going to be increasing. They said probably over the next 3 years they'll be able to get it down, but it doesn't sound like it's going down anytime soon. Now, you might be wondering, so how is this exactly going to be impacting our economy? Well, take a look. Articles coming out like this, breaking it down a little bit for you, how the Fed interest rate hike could impact you. And this is going to be felt in our everyday lives in various different ways. The article says that the Federal Reserve increased to interest rates, which is going to be for the first time in years. They announced it last week, and more increases are expected to come throughout the course of the year. And now we've heard the increments in which they're going to increase them might even get bigger as well. They had originally said 25 basis points. Now they're saying 50, which is basically a 0.25%. Now it's going to be 0.5%. Now, finance experts say that this could impact everyone with savings accounts, mortgages, credit cards, and more. And yes, it's going to be impacting those interest rates. Kimberly Palmer, a personal finance expert with NerdWallet, said that anytime the Federal Reserve does this, any consumer debt that you carry could become more expensive. So those credit card interest rates, anything with an adjustable interest rate, you're going to be paying a whole lot more. So make sure to take care of that if you can. Get fixed interest rates, lock those in. That affects people most commonly when it comes to credit card debt. Credit cards are generally a variable rate of interest, and that means that interest rates fluctuate, and so when rates are rising, it becomes more expensive. Now, it also impacts potential homeowners. Palmer said that even a small percentage changes what it means that you're going to be paying on a monthly basis. So, before we had interest rates for homes, 30-year fixed was under 3%. Absolutely incredible record lows. Now they're getting closer to 5%. And that means that you're going to have to pay more. You're going to lose purchasing power when buying a home. So this is going to be impacting interest rates, and we're going to feel it in our everyday lives. We're losing purchasing power as interest rates are increasing, but it's going to be necessary to combat with inflation. And that is why we're going to be feeling these effects economically, that lawmakers are calling for more direct assistance to get money in people's hands to help them out with this. And we're hearing that there are calls for gas stimulus checks, as gas is one of the things that is incredibly high right now, soaring, due also to the war with Russia and Ukraine. Take a look, you guys. Stimulus checks to help with gas prices. Lawmakers across the country are proposing a few different measures intended to provide relief at the pump as record high gas hits drivers' pocketbooks. While the Biden administration briefly considered the idea of sending gas cards through the IRS, House Democrats have pitched the idea mirroring some of the popular pandemic relief programs, such as stimulus checks and the advanced child tax credit. So we're hearing monthly stimulus checks could be on the way for gas. And also they mentioned the child tax credit. That is being discussed as well, as Congress is working away on the Build Back Better bill, stimulus reconciliation. They're also discussing other pieces of legislation to help out people at this time. But you guys, it looks like there's going to be a lot of economic turmoil on the horizon. But I will keep you up to date here on the channel so you know what's going on and you know what's going to be made available to you. So you guys, that is the latest. And as I said, as more information rolls out, I'll keep you up to date. I know a lot of people want to know, when is this going to be arriving? How much is it going to be? What's going to be the final decision? Well, we're just getting bits and pieces of information. Just as all been unfolding in about the past week or so. More and more is coming out every day. And as it does, I'll be sure to let you know, because it looks like this is going to become a reality. Inflation rates are high. They're going to be going higher. Interest rates are going to increase to combat that. And we're hearing we're going to feel it economically and people are going to need more help. And I'll be sure to let you know as proposals are coming out on federal levels for everyone in the nation and on state levels as well. So you might actually get a federal and a state stimulus check in some cases. We've heard over a dozen states now have proposed state stimulus checks or tax cuts or rebates. So I will keep you up to date here on the channel. And as always, you guys, thank you so much for joining me. If you made it this far and you haven't already, don't forget, take a quick second, smash that like button for me. Helps out the channel a ton. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Leave your comments, share this out. If you want to stay up to date, totally free, just hit that subscribe button, turn on the notification bell. If you got any specific questions for me, shoot them to me in the DM on Instagram at SteveRam3, and consider joining my second channel, Steve Ram Finance, to learn about growing wealth and personal finance. But with that being said, you guys, thank you so much for joining me, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care. God bless. This is Steve.